Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. I also wish to acknowledge in his absence the Honourable Stuart Young, Senior Counsel, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And I also wish to acknowledge his unwavering support for the Steelpan movement, standing side by side at every moment. Mr. Vidish Maharaj, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts. Mr. Martel Waldron, Deputy Permanent Secretary. Ms. Beverly Ramsey Moore, President, Extraordinary President of Pan Trinbago. Ms. Kiba Jacob Motley, CEO of the National Carnival Commission. Sponsors here present, members of Pan Trinbago's Central Executive, Ms. Deborah Coriat Patton, Chairman of the Office of the Prime Minister's Sport and Culture Fund, government agencies, Steelband leaders, distinguished guests, members of the media, good afternoon. It really has been the honor of a lifetime to work with the Steelpan movement and with Pan Trinbago since the year 2020, when I was given this portfolio of tourism, culture, and the arts. I had really not come into this closer contact with the Steelpan movement. But having come into contact with the Steelpan movement, I developed a true sense of national purpose. Not just as somebody in charge of this portfolio, which is culture and the arts, and anybody who is in charge of the portfolio of culture and the arts is also directly in charge with the Steelpan movement. But as a citizen of this country, doing my part to push and develop the Steelpan movement as our national musical instrument, and to push this art form, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the international community. Because as a symbol, the Steelpan represents who we are. The Steelpan was born out of struggle, out of difficult circumstances, and it was refined over the years by the passion of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and celebrated across the world, from Laventille to London, from San Fernando to South Africa, from Tobago to Tokyo. Our pan, our Steelpan, beats the rhythm of a nation that dares to dream. So today we're here to honor the champions. We're here to honor the champions of the National Musical Festival 2024, National Steelpan Music Festival 2024, and we've seen our champions collect their checks. The winners of the Panorama 2025 competition and other competitions such as the bomb competition, and to also mark the beginning of the distribution of the payment of remittance checks to all of our Steelpan players who participated in Panorama 2025. So, as Ms. Beverly Ramsey Moore was telling me, this week is truly a good week for all Steelpan men and women. Because there is, in prize monies and in remittances, about $25 million being distributed here today. And while I wish to celebrate the winners of the various competitions, I really truly want to mark this moment to celebrate what we have accomplished in the Steelpan movement, working hand in hand, government, Pan Trinbago, and all the members of the Steelpan movement, through hard work and accountable leadership. So you see, we're in a political season, and I have to take us down that road because I am a politician after all. But in this political season, you see guys, you see people from the yellow and the blue team, blue and yellow team. You see them and they are giving all sorts of wild financial promises. Fantastical, wild financial promises. And they're not telling you where the money will come from. And this is not new. Members of the Pan fraternity, whoever visited the parliament when we took a number of our bills to parliament to debate, you would hear them there, and up to now you would hear them saying, well, when we get into government, we will give the Pan fraternity this, and we will give them that, and we will give them so much more money than we have been giving them. But I want you to think back to the period 2010 to 2015 when they were in government. And think really hard and try to recall any item, any legacy item for the Steelpan movement that was delivered during that time. And when I say legacy, I mean positive legacy. I don't mean the bacchanal and the complaints and the run into court. I don't mean that. I mean positive items of legacy during the period 2010 to 2015. Locally, internationally, there was none. Many people joke about the minister and Pan Trinbago and this love affair that the minister has with Pan Trinbago and the love affair that Pan Trinbago has with the minister as a reason as to why we've been able to accomplish many of these things. But I can tell you, on first meeting, it was not love at first sight. It was some very difficult, robust, hard discussions at first sight, and some very robust and hard decisions that had to be made. Yes, didn't want any bacchanal. At times I like to make bacchanal, but I don't want no bacchanal for myself. So I told the president of Pan Trinbago and those who accompanied her that government was not prepared to continue spending large amounts of money into an organization that itself was not prepared to account and to be responsible for all of the members it represents and all of the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago who fund and assist that organization, Pan Trinbago. And we had some difficult conversations. President saying, listen, I am new, give us a chance. And out of those conversations, we had an agreement. And we agreed that the key words would be, and the key values that would be followed would be accountability, good governance, and partnership. And those would be the key values that would define our relationship with Pan Trinbago. Government, Pan Trinbago. Those were the values that would define our relationship. So it's no surprise now, having both lived up to our agreement and through accountable leadership, that we're able to work hand in hand, government and members of Pan Trinbago and the Steelpan movement, to gain recognition and reverence from the United Nations and the international community when they accepted our petition for World Steelpan Day. And that World Steelpan Day recognition on August 11th to be celebrated every year has given birth to a number of other things. It has spawned the return of the Steelpan Festival. It has also spawned our World Steelpan Festival, where members of the Steelpan community can come and compete and play and earn some money and showcase the best of who they are. We were able to pass law to make the Steelpan our national musical instrument, a cry that has been long made from Pan Trinbago and more so from members of the Steelpan movement. We were able to make the Steelpan movement, again, attractive enough to our corporate stakeholders who are here today. Our corporate stakeholders to come back and get involved financially and otherwise. And the president will tell you, in order to attract the corporate stakeholders, because the corporate stakeholders don't like Bacchanal either. They are concerned with their reputation and their brand. So to be able to do that, one of the first things that you will have to do is account financially, and you have to have your audited financial accounts ready and available for the government, for the corporate stakeholders, and for the members of Pan Trinbago to be able to examine, to know that their monies or the proceeds that Pan Trinbago receives are being put to good productive use. And we're able to attract corporate stakeholders back into the fold. And we're grateful for you, corporate stakeholders. We're also able to use the Steelpan for what it was intended, I believe, by the ancestors who created it, who developed it. We were able to use the Steelpan as a rally from the national community, a rally for national unity. And we're able to take the Steelpan, identify it as a symbol of our national identity locally and internationally, and we're able to take it and put it on our coat of arms, our main national emblem. And the forefathers perhaps didn't dream of that, of where the Steelpan would have ended up. We're also able to get intellectual property for our Steelpan, something that people said could not have been done. We're able to work along with the Steelpan movement, along with Pan Trinbago, to get our geographical indicator, identifying within that intellectual property that one, Steelpan is made here and it belongs to Trinidad and Tobago, and two, the best Steelpans and the most authentic Steelpans are made right here in Trinidad and Tobago. We were able to do that as well. And these are the things that we, the relationship between government and Pan Trinbago and the Steelpan movement, can point to within this period, our period of governance. And these are the legacy items, the positive legacy items that could never be erased from our history. Positive legacy items. So I say to you, think critically. There are people who will come to you and say, we will give the Steelpan this, and we will give the movement that, and we will give Steelbands this. And they will throw money. But it's only by hard work and accountable leadership on both sides, government and Pan Trinbago, that you are able to truly move and develop and improve the Steelpan movement to which all of you belong and to which some of you depend on. So also testament to what we were able to achieve was possibly the largest and the most exciting Panorama 2025. The crowds were massive and the numbers surpassed all other Panorama competitions, at least those that I have been to. Semifinals being most massive, up to 40,000 persons when you count the number of people on the drag, number of people in the grandstand, number of people on the greens, number of the people in the north stand, and not counting all the people who could not get a ticket to come in, but who wanted to come in. Close to 40,000 people for semi-finals alone. And we attracted we attracted the corporate stakeholders, we attracted, our citizens, we attracted visitors, we attracted even international media. I remember doing an interview with the BBC that ended up on the BBC's website. But amazingly, and I want to say this to you, amazingly, during that time there were some people who felt that Pan Trinbago should be reproached and that Pan Trinbago should feel ashamed for selling out its competitions, selling out tickets to its competitions. There's some people who felt that. And there was a narrative going on during the panorama about that, especially around semi-finals. And I would say today to members of Pan Trinbago, to the president of Pan Trinbago, never feel ashamed for the success in bringing out patrons to the National Panorama competition. There were people trying to make, the Pan movement feel ashamed that the corporate Trinidad and Tobago came back in and corporate Trinidad and Tobago was buying all of these tickets and people were buying all of these tickets. Now, it's a good problem to have. Perhaps in 2026, we need some, logistical rethinking. Perhaps we need to expand the space so that more people can come in. Perhaps we need some large screens so that people can look at the screens and not have a direct view of the stage. Or perhaps, who knows, we need to build a stadium or go into the national stadium. Those are good problems to have, and those things should be considered for 2026. But I will say here today to all of Trinidad and Tobago, for Panorama 2026, buy your tickets early. Make sure and buy your tickets early. Don't let corporate Trinidad and Tobago buy the tickets. Buy your tickets early. And don't wait until last minute to try and get a ticket, because the Steelpan movement has changed. There are more people interested in coming to see the competition. So buy your tickets early, don't complain. So again, congratulations to all the winners. Continue to build upon your successes and continue to reach for excellence. This year, I know, President, you asked for some consideration for some increases, but this year we actually did increase our support. We increased our support to the unsponsored steel bands. So 60 steel bands this year received $10,000, up from $7,500 in previous years. And 89 conventional bands received $20,000, which is up from $15,000 last year, for a total of $2.3 million. And I have championed this at the cabinet level, along with the support of then Minister of Energy, Minister Stuart Young. And we also had increases to the remittances, up from $500 to now $800. So today, we begin the distribution of our remittances checks, and 5,551 players will receive $800 each, for a total of $4.4 million to be distributed in remittances. So I wish to congratulate Mrs. Beverly Ramsey Moore and the Pan Trinbago team for their brilliant stewardship of the Steelpan movement over the past years, and working with us and working with your membership, the Steelpan movement, and together building and elevating our beloved national musical instrument, and for cementing a legacy so that the future generations can build upon. I wish to also thank the leadership of our former Prime Minister, Dr. the Honourable Keith Rowley. I wish to also thank Minister Young, who has been steadfast in supporting me and in supporting the Steelpan movement.